Hello.
Yeah. Just one question.
Hmm.
Yesterday we little bit talk about record type. I didn't get exactly that concept. Record type.
Record type is basically type of record, and for now let's. Oh, what is the page? Okay. So for now, let's understand that record type is basically the type of record. Okay, and that's a concept, which is more specific to the admin side of it. So let's not, in case you do not know, just leave it for now. Fine. You can get details about that, like later on, but that is not nothing related to the visual force. Right. So his question was that if the object has different record types, if someone who does not know what is a record type, don't get into that now, because I just want you to focus on visual force mode. Okay. Later on, you can have an understanding of record type, and uh, then you can understand, related to this. Right. Okay, so let's create a page where we can edit the data. So far we have just been displaying the data. Now let's create a page for editing the data. So I'll use a standard controller there, and for standard controller I say equals count text page block title view and data text page block section. Title equals view data text output field equals industry right. So let me take a record ID and supply it here. Okay, so this output field component is used for displaying data. So without output field also you can display data. There is this component also available, but output field is usually meant for displaying read-only data. Now it's a read-only data, right? There's another component which is called input field, and that can be used for editable fields. Now these are all read-only fields, which means you can only view the data, you cannot edit. I'll create one more section, text page block section, and for that I will just put the title equals edit data, collapse equals false, columns equals 1. This time I'm going to use the input field. Value equals same thing, but The component I'm using is input field, not output field. So here I've used output field and here I'm using input field component. Name, type, industry. Okay. So the moment you try to use this input field component is basically an editable field, all right? So the moment you try to bring in some interactive component on your page, interactive component means where the end user can actually, using which the end user can interact with the page. The moment you try to bring that here, you have to use another tag which is called form tag. Okay, so any of the interactive components need to be included inside this form tag. Okay, so let's put the form tag at the start, right after the page, and close it just before the page closes. Okay, so whenever you are trying to bring in any component, something like an input field or a button, you always have to use this form tag or component. Now it's fine. See, input field, output field, sorry, output fields, and this is input field. All right, so this is editable. I want to make it 7123 or 1234. I can do that. I want to change the industry. I can do this. You want to change. You want to change the name.
Jeet,
Right. Mm-hmm.
now after we make the changes, how do we save it?
Yeah, that we'll get into. But this concept is okay. Input field.
Right.
So first of all, we just needed to bring some component on the UI that allows us to change the values. So now, once you've changed the values here, all these changes are only on the UI, on the page only. Whatever you have changed is on this form, right? Now to ensure that these changes are also, reflecting in the database, you will have to perform a save operation, right? Which is quite logical, right? So whatever you are writing right now is only on the UI. Now it needs to be saved in the database. For that, you will need to use an action, okay? A save action. So there are two types of save actions that we have in Salesforce for standard controller. One is a save, one is a quick save. There are two actions. Save and quick save. Save action will save the data, save and go to standard detail page. Quick save will save and stay on the same page. So a save action usually will save your data and take you to the standard detail page of the record. So let's define that and understand that. So to call the action, I need a command button. So there's another component called a command button. I need a button, save button kind of thing, right? So for that, there is a component called command button that we are going to use. Let me put the command button here. X command button. Okay, command button has two attributes, value and action. Value can be whatever you want. So value is basically the text that appears on top of the button. Save now. So value is basically what appears on the button. So button got created. Second attribute that you have to define for command button is an action. So action can be save. Okay. So what does the save action do? It will save the changes and take you to the standard detail page. So let me make a few changes. Industry I'll change to agriculture, let's say. Customer I'll change it to technology partner. Phone number I'm changing. Okay, now click on save now. The changes are saved, right? And you have been taken to the standard detail page of that record. This is the detail page of the record, right? That's what a save button does. In case you don't want to move to this page, you just want to make save the changes and stay on the same page, then you should use another action which is called quick save. Okay. So for this we should use another action which is a quick save. Okay. Now quick save will not take you to that particular standard page. Okay, it will just save the changes. So let's say again I change it to 000. Now the action is quick save. Save, it will save and bring you back on the same page. Correct? So depending on your requirement, you will either select a quick save or a save. Clear on this?
Please one question.
Mm-hmm.
Please one question.
Mm.
In output field, type equals to technology partner for Burlington Textile Corp of America. Fine. But in edit data, like in inputting input field part, we are getting pick list for the same record. Means why so?
Because it's input field, it's giving you option to edit. This is editable, this is not editable.
But type would be one only, right? For one particular account,
But
there
this is
would
an
be one
input.
type. So,
Type will be one because this is an input field, na? So input field is a pick list itself. You understand that, right? This is still on the edit stage. So type though it is one, but it is giving you option to edit. This is an editable field.
no, editable field I can understand, but how come those records and pick list?
Which records and pick list? That those are not records
And
in the
pick list.
field. These are values, options. If I say this is editable field, and if I don't give you the option to edit, then what will you do? How will you do that? This is a form component, right? So in the form component, it will give you that option, right? Have you ever filled a form on website? Website pe form we have filled, right?
Yeah.
So there when we select, our education, gender, whatever, finally output will be one, but at that time of filling, so it will give us options, na? At that time, we cannot say why are you giving three options. So that is it. This is a form component. This is basically designed to edit. So if it does not give option, how will you edit? No? Is it difficult to
My
understand?
conclusion, my conclusion is only that from where we are getting that options, that pick list.
From where they are getting means what? This
This
field
customer
itself,
direct, customer
this
dashboard.
Have you ever edited a record on Salesforce? This is Burlington Textile, na?
No.
Acha, no.
Yes.
Acha, this is Burlington Textile record, okay? When you click on
Yes.
edit, what happens? The same thing happens now on edit mode. Though this is Burlington Textile record, from where this is getting option. Have you ever thought of that?
Yes.
From where it is getting? From where is it getting options? This is what you have defined. Either Salesforce has defined or we have defined, right? So this is the metadata of
Okay.
that field, correct?
Okay.
So nothing has changed on this Visualforce page. We have just, this input field is bringing the field in that edit mode. See, this is in the edit mode. Is
Yeah.
there a confusion with this part at least? This first, when you click on edit, this is how it displays, right? That's the
Yes.
simple thing which is happening here also. So input field is allowing you to display the fields in edit mode so that end users can edit. Now, where these options are coming from, these options are defined on that field. On the
Okay.
type field, these are the options which are defined.
Okay.
Fine.
It is already defined there, right? So just it is fetching records from there only.
So this is
Okay.
what, is that not something that we understand, in maybe the first 2 or 3 sessions, that pick list values are defined and list of values are
Yes.
defined, right? So that's where it is coming from.
Okay.
Okay, maybe again you will need a little more practice on designing the database and all that stuff, because I get that hint that you might not have practiced that much there, but definitely pick list values are from there, and it's the same pick list, nothing else. See, all those options are same. Acha, if you kind of put a lookup field here, let's say parent account. I don't know what this field is called. Parent.
Jeet,
Hmm.
while you're doing that, can you just scroll your screen down a little so that I can copy the code?
1 minute. How will I write the code on screen if I scroll it down? Can someone give me the parent field name?
अच्छा, मुझे लग रहा था आप दोनों और डिस्कस कर रहे थे.
No, no. Parent. Parent is the field. Acha, let's leave it for now. This will require you to understand a few more concepts and then we'll get into this. But that pick list part is okay now. Why pick list is coming?
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Asha, here it is. Can you take a screenshot?
Thank you,
Anyone who
Jeet.
wants to take a screenshot can quickly take a
हाँ
screenshot.
सही.
All right. Okay, so we have understood the editable component here on the page. Okay, so in case you just want to include some editable component and editable field, then it should be using input fields. Okay, so input field will give you the option to make changes on that particular field, right? And the fields will appear on their data type. So if it's a date field, that input field will appear with the date picker. If it's a pick list, it will appear with the pick list. All right. So exactly the way you see it on the edit mode, when you click on edit of a record, the way you see those fields, exactly that way you will get to see the fields. Fine. When you use the input field component, which is quite logical also. If you know, for editing pick list, if it does not give me the values, then how will I edit, right? So for that reason, this is how it shows those values. All right. Okay, good. Now the next thing that we will get into is the second type of controller. Yeah,
Um, in case if we wanted to display any error message over here,
error message where?
um, like any duplicate values has been inserted. Say suppose you have the same set of records like the textile corporation India type in industry phone, everything in the same manner, and clicking on save now means I wanted to display an error message as the same record has been updated again.
Any
So
any of the default validation rules which work. See, what logic are we using? Uh, that's a very good question. Error message, how will we display? Okay. If I have to display error message, that is something which needs to be defined as a controller. That needs to be defined as a logic, right? That if this happens, do
okay,
this, right? That's a logic.
yes,
For logic, we are
yes,
using standard controller, which means we are working with the Salesforce standard controller logics. We are not writing our logics here, at least in standard controller page. We're not writing any logics. So it will work with the default logics of the account standard controller. Like if there is a validation rule clash, it will automatically throw an error. Okay, the one that it throws for
okay,
when you try to do a save. So it is actually going to work exactly like this save button. So any validation rule clash, any unique or duplicate record issue, those errors will be automatically thrown, right? um,
yes.
Apart from this also, you can define your own error message logics which are not already a part of validation and all that stuff, but that's not possible with standard controller. With custom controller you can, because that's where you write your own logic, so that
Oh,
is where you will be able to do those things, right? Standard controller will
okay.
work with all standard logics, validations, duplicates, unique, whatever. Got it?
So with the standard objects, we will not be able to
Not
display
standard
any error
objects,
message.
not standard
Standard
objects.
controllers. That's
Standard
what.
controller.
Standard
So
controller.
standard controller and standard object are, two completely different things.
Okay.
We understand that, right? Standard object and
Uh, can
standard
you just
controller.
can you just make me clear once standard controller and standard object?
Achha, so were you thinking that standard controller and standard object are same thing? No. Achha, what is a standard object?
The object which has
Anyone
been
who can,
presented over in Salesforce.
okay, anyone
It's
who
a
is clear
predefined
about
object by Salesforce.
predefined object by Salesforce. What is that? That's a database table, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What is a custom object?
Anything which we created on our own
Def-
Anything or any database table again,
That
in
we
database table which has been created.
usually
which we create. Yes. And what is standard controller now? What is a
controller
controller?
uh, where we actually fetching records means defining how we can fetch those records from
But
that standard object.
from standard object only or from custom object also?
Only from standard object.
Again,
If it is a custom object means it will be mentioned as custom controller.
anyone who has a different thought?
I think a standard controller is a predefined controller which will work on both.
Yes. And that's
So a
what I think we
standard
have been discussing, that a standard controller is set of logics, and this set of logic exists for standard object, custom object, both. Okay. So that concept is not correct, that standard controller is for standard object, custom controller is for custom object. No. Object
Okay.
Object is database table. It can be standard, it can be custom, that doesn't matter. Now we are talking about the logics, the set of logics. Salesforce has a written set of logics for every object, and it has a written set of logic for all standard, all custom objects. Correct? Now when you have the written set of logics for all standard and custom objects, you can use standard controller for the custom object also. Works? Any doubt still there? So make it clear that standard controller is for all objects. Custom controller is where we will need to write our own logics, and that can be for that custom controller can also be for standard objects and custom object both. And standard controller can be for standard object, custom object both.
Jeet, we lost you like for 10 seconds, for 5 seconds.
Did you?
Yes. We lost you when you were saying custom controller is also.
So custom controller can be used for both the standard objects as well as custom objects, and standard controllers can also be used for standard objects as well as custom objects.
You said standard controllers can be used for a standard Salesforce page on the first slide.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So custom objects also have standard pages, right?
Yes, yes.
That's it. So that's where the logic is.
Okay.
When you design a custom object, by default you get standard Salesforce pages, right? So those are all standard pages. Okay. All right. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we will start working with the next type of controller, which is a standard list controller. So a standard list controller is basically um, a standard list controller is the controller which can be used for displaying list of records on a Visualforce page. List of records on Visualforce page, right? So with a standard controller, what did we see? That we are able to display only one record on the page, right? One record at a time, and then we are not able to display multiple records, and then you have to supply the ID in the record. Standard list controller works in a different way. Here you can display list of records on the Visualforce page, right? So let's create one page. I will do it for account, and we will display list of accounts on my Visualforce page. So V4. Okay. So for Apex page standard controller, sorry, this is going to be a list controller page, right? So for a standard list controller, all that you have to do is, along with using the standard controller attribute on the page, you have to use one more attribute, which will be a record set var. Okay, record set var is a variable that will hold the list of records from this object. Okay, so you can give it any name. That variable can be given any name. So we'll call it account list. Okay, you can name it whatever you want. So basically, this is a variable that holds list of records from account object. That's the concept. Okay, why did we define it here? That's what I will, that's what we'll get to see in the code. Now, since when I'm talking about a list of records, then to display list of records, what do I need? I need component like that, right? And to display a list of records, what do I need? I need a component which can accommodate multiple records. What will be the best component for that? A table, right? When you try to show 10 or 15 accounts, so the best thing that you can do is you should use a table to do that, to display the data. So there is a component called apex page block table, and we're going to use that page block table. A page block table has two attributes. One is value and one is variable. So value is this list. Value means what data you want to display. So what is the scope of the data that you want to display in the table? That goes into value. So this ACT underscore list will become my value. Variable is where variable is just a variable for this long expression. So you can just call it a or anything, right? Now inside this table, instead of using this long expression, I'm going to use this variable, right? Fx colon. Okay, now inside the table I'll have to create the columns. So for creating column, the first column will be a dot name. Okay, sorry. Column also has an attribute called value, and that value should be a dot name. Do you see this? So there is just one single column in this table, and that's Apex. That's the name of the account, and that's what has come here. Have a quick look onto the connections where things, how things are connected here. Standard controller I've defined, so Salesforce knows which object to connect to, right? Then I've defined a variable which will hold all the records from that particular object. Then I've defined a component page block table, and the page block table I say that what list of values I want to display here and what is the variable that I've defined, and after that we have also given this thing a dot name, the column, what field value I want to display, that has also been given here, right? So that's the connect. Let me know if anyone has any doubt in how things are connected here. Okay, so now let me bring in other fields also. The same way, the way you have created one column, you can create more columns. Apex column value a dot type industry phone. This is how it is. Fine. See, good thing is that you don't have to supply the ID here because it's not about a single record, right? So we are creating a list page here, not a detail page. With a standard controller, you create a detail view page, and with this, you create a list view page. Got it? So, depending on your requirement, whether you want to create a page for displaying the list of records or you want to create a page for displaying a single record, you decide on whether to use a standard controller or standard list controller. And in both the cases, you are not writing the logic. The logic is all being controlled by your Salesforce standard controller. Got it? Okay. So now we'll do a quick activity. I want you to create a standard list controller page for opportunity, and in that I want you to display name of the opportunity, first field, first column, second column amount, third stage, and the fourth close date. Okay, very quick. Just look into the code here on my screen and quickly create this. We got exactly 5 minutes to finish it off. Code is on my page for account. You need to create the same kind of a page for opportunity, and the four fields that you have to display are name, amount, stage, and close date of the opportunity. Shefali, can you please mute your microphone? And again, I keep on saying this a lot of times, but I don't know why you guys forget. Please try to keep your microphones on mute most of the times when you guys are not speaking, and please feel free to unmute and speak as much as you want, but while you're not speaking, please mute it. Fine. Okay, let's quickly finish it. 10 lines of code, that's all you need. That's what is on my page, right? So for writing 10 lines you have 5 minutes. And let's see who finishes it first.